Hello, I'm Cheryl Coulter in Augusta, Georgia, and I wanted to share some things today that have been stirring in me regarding Philippians 3:13 and 14. We read that passage, and most of us know it quite well. I don't count myself to have apprehended, but one thing I do, I forget those things which are behind, and I reach forward to those things ahead. I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Jesus Christ. And as I've been thinking about that recently, a thought came to me: why are we forgetting the things that are behind? Now, you've heard Bishop Coulter, many of you, you've heard him teach on the fact that sometimes we have to forget the good things as well, or they will hold us in the past and we will not press on into other things. But, you know, the battlefield is in the mind. And I think that something that came out of that verse for me in pondering things in the last month or so is repurpose your past. One of the biggest tricks of the enemy is to come along and distract, discourage, and disable us so that we will not fulfill our purpose. So, he does bring up the past, and he's the accuser of the brethren. And many times the past is related to our failures and disappointments. And he comes and he whispers in our ear, remember, you never could do that. And remember when you did this, and so forth. But I began to ponder on that and look at what God's done in my life along those lines. Some of the things that I love in the Bible are the things that say, before the very foundation of the earth was laid, he called us by name. He knew us before we were in our mother's womb. And the days of our life were written in the book. And we know in Jeremiah, who doesn't love that? I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, to do you good and not harm, and to give you a hope and a future. Then there's the scriptures that say he orders our steps. And the one that says that I will take all the things that were meant for evil and I will turn to your good. So sometime last year, as something came along in my life and caused me to deal with some negative emotions and causing me to remember a past that's already been paid for and is under the blood and shouldn't even bother me, but it did. But God used that with his sense of humor and how he is with me anyway. And so one day, whatever the situation was, is saying, you will never succeed at this, or you won't accomplish that, whatever it was. And suddenly I turned around as though I could really see who was saying that to me. And I said, thank you, devil, for telling me what God's plans are for my life. Because you're a liar and the truth isn't in you. So if you're saying I can't, then the opposite has to be true, because God's plans for me are to do me good and not harm. So as these things all strung together and begin to ponder them, I came up with that phrase, repurpose your past. What does that mean to me? Well, I hope that it will give you a little tool to use when needed with yourself or somebody else. So when my past comes up, instead of cringing, I'm going to repurpose it, because everything in our life prepares us for everything in our life with God's plans. I had a situation. God's going to turn it to my good. He's going to use it to train me and give me the skills and the things I need for the next step in my journey. I repurpose my past in the hands of God, because I am a child of God. My past is under the blood. My failures are under the blood. I'm forgiven, and God has a plan, and he is going to see that everything in my life is turned to accomplish the plan and purpose of God for me, as long as I stay in communion with him and connection with him, and that my goal in life is to follow his leading.